A good horror movie is not just scary, unique, and memorable. It must be more than that, and director Rob Savage managed to make such a story recently in The Boogeyman. Savage found a way to turn our eyeballs wide open and full of admiration with his effective horror story. So, if you already watched this remarkable cinematic achievement, you should also watch these 10 films. It Follows. The movie stars Micah Monroe, who plays a teenage girl named Jay, who becomes the target of a supernatural entity after a seemingly innocent sexual encounter. Jay is the only one who can see this entity, and the thing can take on various human forms, and persistently follows her at a slow, relentless pace. As the goal of this thing is to kill her, the only way she can save herself is to sleep with someone else, and thereby transfer the haunting to that other person. It's a story that explores themes of vulnerability, sexual awakening, and the fear of the unknown. The story from the movie has been interpreted as a metaphor for sexually transmitted infections, and also as a message for the consequences that casual relationships can bring. The Orphanage. It's a gothic supernatural horror movie directed by J.A. Bayona and produced by the legendary Guillermo del Toro. The movie follows the story of Laura and her husband Carlos, who bought an old orphanage building where Laura grew up. The couple wants to reopen this facility again and use it for disabled children. With them is their adopted son Simon, who is HIV positive, and soon after they move in, the kid starts to communicate with a new invisible friend who he calls Thomas. At first, Laura is skeptical about this kid's behavior, but soon after she starts to notice other unseen children, and the atmosphere becomes very scary. As she starts entering deeper into the mystery, more and more dark secrets from the past start to show up. The desperate woman wants to understand what happened to the missing children, but also to protect her family from the malevolent forces which are obviously present there. The movie gathered only positive reviews about its psychological horror story and drama, which is present for almost the whole 97 minutes. Ouija, Origin of Evil. If you like the 2014 film Ouija, then you probably have to watch its better version, the 2016 prequel story from this movie. The movie follows the origin of the malevolent events that were presented in the first film, and dives into the history of the haunted Ouija board. The story in the movie is set back in 1967 in LA, where a widowed mother of 2 girls works on a spiritual medium in her home to try to help grieving people connect with their loved ones who passed away. Alice has financial difficulties raising her children Lena and Doris, so she decides to incorporate a Ouija board into her seances, not knowing that this board can open the gateway to pure evil. The younger daughter Doris tries to use the board to communicate with her deceased father, but instead of contacting her father, she connects with some sinister entity that starts to possess her. Doris's behavior changes, and the family starts to see terrifying and unexplained things happening in their home. Poltergeist. This horror classic from 1982 is one of the best if you ask any horror movie lover. It left so much influence on the horror genre in the coming years and decades, becoming one of the most beloved horror films in cinematic history. The story follows the life of the Freeling family, who lives in a haunted house. Things start to move in their home, and they also hear strange noises. At first, the family finds these events amusing, but it gets worse. One night, their youngest daughter, Carol Ann, hears a mysterious voice coming from the TV that leads to her disappearance. Soon, they find that the house is really haunted, and that their daughter is trapped between the living and the dead. The Amityville Horror. When we talk about horror classics, you should also watch this one. Or, well, the remake of this film title from 2005, where Ryan Reynolds is one of the leading roles. He, or more precisely his character, George, and his wife Kathy Lutz live in a beautiful house in Amityville, New York, with Kathy's 3 children from her previous marriage, Billy, Michael, and Chelsea. The family doesn't know that the house they moved into has a dark history. A year before their arrival, a man named Ronald DeFeo made a massacre in the house by killing his entire family. The man described his action, claiming that he was possessed by evil spirits that made him commit the murders. Soon after the Lutz family settles in their new home, they start to experience a series of disturbing and terrifying events in their lives. George's behavior changes. He soon starts to be aggressive, and the malevolent spirits become a threat that will bring the family's lives in great danger. Hereditary. This movie will chill your skin through all 2 hours. The psychological horror from 2018 is no doubt one of the creepiest films in this genre's movie history. It follows a story about the Graham family, who experiences a series of terrifying and tragic events after the death of their secret grandmother, Ellen. After the funeral of her mother, Annie attends a support group for people dealing with grief, but strange things start to happen around the family. Annie's daughter, Charlie, wants to know more about her grandmother's secrets, but dies from anaphylactic shock after eating a cake that contains nuts, to which she's allergic. Annie finds out that the family is cursed, and that her mother was part of a sinister cult that worships a demon called Paimon. This is more than enough to make you watch the movie, if you haven't done it by now. A Quiet Place. It's become one of the best horror movies with monsters in the past few years. Both A Quiet Place from 2018 and its sequel from 2021 are written by the same guys as The Boogeyman, Brian Woods and Scott Beck. These movies are an extraordinary piece of work with terrific acting, but the main thing is the silence. For those who still haven't watched these films, the action takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, where Earth has been invaded by mysterious and deadly creatures that are blind, but have hypersensitive hearing. These monsters hunt and kill anything that makes even the slightest noise, so to survive, the remaining human population has learned to live in complete silence. The Babadook. Written and directed by Jennifer Kent, the movie follows a story of a widow named Amelia and her young son, Samuel. Amelia still struggles to cope with the death of her husband, and one night, her son chooses a mysterious book titled Mr. Babadook for his bedtime story. The book is about some creepy and sinister creature wearing a top hat. As both are reading the story, they start to believe that the Babadook is real, and that it has entered their lives. Very soon, Amelia becomes deprived and stressed, while Samuel becomes more erratic. The presence of the Babadook grows, and it threatens the safety of both. Sweetheart. This wonderful horror thriller movie is a blend of survival, mystery, and creature horror genres. The story follows Jennifer Remming, a young girl who ends up on an uninhabited tropical island after a mysterious shipwreck. As she tries to adapt to her new surroundings, she discovers that the island holds a terrifying secret. When night falls, deadly creatures emerge from the depths of the ocean to hunt on the island. Jennifer must find a way to survive and escape from them. Bird Box. If you already liked the previous surviving suggestion horror movie, I'll give you another even better one. The world is hit by a mysterious and malevolent force that has almost destroyed humanity. This force, which takes the form of an unseen entity, can drive people to madness when they look up to it. To survive, the rest of humanity must avoid making direct eye contact with the creatures. The main protagonist in the movie is Sandra Bullock's character, Mallory Hayes, and her two children, who go blindfolded on a dangerous journey down a river to find a rumored safe haven. On this journey, they encounter various challenges and threats, including dangerous individuals driven mad by the creatures. The movie shows how far this woman can go to protect the children and ensure their survival.